Oh,
So, you said you said you went to Glasgow this morning.
oh yeah. So we live in Glasgow now.
Really?
Yeah, we've lived there. It'd be 10 years. It was the July the 3rd, I believe, when we actually moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been there 10 years. Same house, same neighborhood. Yeah, 10 years. And she works over here, and I still work in Glasgow.
I got you.
So
I want you to, we're going to mess with this just for a few minutes,
Mhm.
but I want to just get it kind of actually, you can get the bottom of it kind of close to your chest.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
About like that right there.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's good.
Kind of.
Dude,
Okay.
I know. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what the problem is because I've had it's like with certain voices, and it does this with my own too. But with certain voices, no matter what their decibel is, it's kind of like if it's a certain amount of bass to it.
Yeah.
If the bass is what's remaining,
Mhm.
it drops off. So
Yeah.
I can't. There's settings on here for that, but it's
Uh-huh.
not really helped. I messed with it all weekend, so I'm hoping. I
Yeah.
know at least the camera triggers are going to be a lot better,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I'm really like I'm stressing over this audio because I actually have, well, Amy Neighbor, she's a state representative. She's coming on this month.
Mhm.
Then I have another guest coming on that I'm not going to announce until I get their date.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not super big.
It ain't Dr. Tony, is it?
It's not Dr. Tony. I would love to get Dad.
I seen that. I was like, it's got to be his dad.
I would love to have Dr. Tony on, but I just don't think he'll do it. But to be honest, I've never actually asked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe I should, but no, but, and it's not when I announce who it is, everybody's gonna be like, oh, I don't know, but I guess maybe it's my OCD a little bit. I don't know. I know jinxes aren't real, but I have this deep fear in me that if I announce it, it's not going to happen.
It ain't Nick, is it?
No, no. It's somebody at a national level, though. I can tell you that much.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. That, and a lot of people will probably be able to guess who it is just based off of that alone. But we're not going to say.
I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Like, I know
you probably know who it is.
I think I know who it is, but I ain't going to say
it. Yeah.
I got you.
And but I'm very blessed regardless. So
yeah.
And that's what's cool about having it being the Average Joseph podcast is like, this isn't some high quality, expensive production. It's like if there's glitches and mess ups, like it kind of goes with the name.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting better as I go. Or I'm trying to.
Well, I like it's the, everybody we grew up with.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of average Joes.
Yeah, dude. Who's been your favorite so far, do you think, or some of your favorites?
It'd have to be Mikhail. I'd have to say Mikhail one. He's going to be my ride or die, you know what I mean? So, and I like John Stones. I watched a little bit of Greg Triples. I haven't finished it yet because what I'm usually doing is when I'm listening to these, I'm actually listening to them when I'm driving.
Sure.
So I've got it hooked to my truck and, I'm driving and I'm split. Of course, I listen to like Sean Ryan podcast. I listened to a little bit of Joe Rogan, not a whole lot. And then I got one I really follow, which sounds silly. It's like a dirt bike ATV podcast called On the Pipe. They call it OTP. They go live on YouTube every Tuesday, but I can't ever watch it because that's during, supper time, kids, stuff like that. So they put it on Spotify the next day. So as soon as it hits Spotify, I'm starting to think, it's probably about sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours. One time I think it might even been 3 hours, but I got to split my time,
Sure.
Everybody. But I listened to Tyler's, The Basement. I've listened to it a few times, but yeah, I'd say Mikhail. I've listened to Mikhail's twice actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like talking to Mikhail. I do like, it helps me to be able to go back, and this is what I'm probably going to enjoy about ours too. It helps me to be able to go back and I don't know if you like integrate like who I used to be. Because you get so busy with life. It's kind of like you wake up and you're so far removed from who you were in your childhood and stuff like that. And you forget a lot of things along the way. and so I enjoy being able to do that. And I think, Tanner Kendall was my first, and then Foot was my second guest. But both of those, I mean, that was what those were about too. Was just going back and
see, I've not got far enough back to them to even. I really want to listen to Tanner and Jordan's.
Yeah.
I'd really, because when we all grew up together and played football together and stuff like that, and they're next on the list to watch. So
do you listen to this on Spotify or YouTube?
YouTube. I go through years on YouTube yet because I just haven't. When I'm on Spotify, it's like I've got my library, and it's like I need to add that on there. But every time I see it on Facebook, I just click and go straight to YouTube. So, but I've got to get you added to Spotify, which take 5 seconds.
The Spotify crowd isn't as large as the YouTube by any means. I mean, I think YouTube is upwards of like 150, and then Spotify's like 20. Which one is more than enough for me, but I want to see them both. I want to see them both grow. My therapist, which the therapist has a therapist, by the way, I guess, because a barber has to have a barber, right?
Well, I've wondered that. I didn't know if that's a question you ask a therapist.
And she told me that I need a hobby. And I was like, well, I have this podcast. And she's like, yes, and it's a good hobby, but I can't do it every day.
Right.
And so, I can work, like I can plan on some stuff almost daily, but I can't do this every day.
Every day. Yeah.
And so, I've recently started branching out into, other things, and I'm not going to explore that right now. I just, I guess I don't even know where I was going with that other than to say this has been a fun, adventure, something to do, and it's interesting to just see it kind of grow on its and it's weird that, like, I want people to enjoy it, but it's just so fascinating to me that people actually do, because I don't know.
Well, in today's time, we always can't get together and just talk like we used to. Like when we was growing up, we'd see each other, or we'd go hang out on the weekends, or football, whatever it was, school. We was hanging out and talking, and now we've all got our lives. We're adults.
Sure.
We've all had to go our separate ways, make our own lives, and the only time we either get to talk's on the phone, through text, and stuff like this. So this kind of brings it back to, where we was at when we started.
So, we can talk about whatever, but as far as, well, I'll let you pick since you're the guest. Do you want to talk about what things that have gone on for you, since we've all kind of went our separate ways, or do you want to explore growing up first and then get into that?
We can explore growing up, because I think some of it will kind of blend in, especially just right after high school.
Sure.
It'll all kind of blend in. And, he's talking about being blessed, what makes you, growing up, the stuff makes you the person you are today. Even though you get away from the things you've done, it still kind of shaped the way you are today.
Absolutely.
So we can start like
definitely, that. Childhood is definitely a bedrock, or definitely a foundation for who you are as a person. And, I think which you were a grade above me, but I don't know if we got to know each other. I don't think we got to know each other in middle school. It wasn't until high school, was it?
It was in high school. I remember the first time we met.
Okay, tell me about it.
Because I was at Jesse's house.
Okay.
Bill's was right across, and this was still before your mom and dad had redone the basement.
Yeah.
So we're looking, it's got to be, the 360 had just come out.
Yeah, man.
So it was me and Jesse and Brock, and I remember we went across the field and went to your house, and we was down in the basement. Of course, I knew of you, but I didn't really know you. And we was in the basement, and I remember you had that 360, and I was like, man, that is awesome. And me and Brock, I can't remember what year Madden it was, but Brock's like, hey, you want to play Madden? I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Of course, Brock was, little, real little. And I had never held an Xbox. I was a PlayStation guy, so I'd never had an Xbox. And I picked that thing. I was like, man, this is odd. These offset sticks. And I was like, but it's kind of comfortable. I was like, you'll probably destroy me, but, we'll play. And I remember he picked the Falcons, and I picked the Buccaneers, because that's my favorite pro team.
Brock did?
Yeah.
I wonder why. I don't, it don't matter.
The game might have already been set up.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I'll take the Bucs. That's my favorite team. So I remember I was receiving the kickoff, and this is the first time I'd ever played an Xbox. Kicked it off. I took it all the way back for a touchdown, like 100 yards. I was like, oh, man, this is going to go great. And then I got destroyed the rest of the game. I don't even think we even finished the game.
Yeah, man. I never got into, well, I did get into sports games a little bit, but I was always, like, once I got into first-person shooters, that was kind of my niche, whatever you say.
I don't know how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
I say niche.
Yeah. And, but I remember because me and Jesse actually went to Walmart. Mom she took us both to Walmart to, because back then when you went to get a console, you couldn't like order it. You couldn't pre-order it online and it deliver, the day it come out. You had to actually like go to the store.
That was the midnight releases, wasn't it?
Well, it was actually some of the games would release at midnight, I think, at that time, but the console didn't actually release because Walmart didn't stay open that late, so you couldn't get it until like 6 the next morning. So we stayed out like all night.
That was the infamous camping out story, wasn't it?
Probably.
Now, didn't somebody get a Wii too, or was that
Well, we did that for both.
Okay,
so we did that for the Wii and for the 360, and which I was very blessed growing up. Like I had everything I needed. But mom and dad were very good. Like, okay, you can stay out all night and you can get this to ensure that you get it for Christmas, but you get it for Christmas. Like you're not getting it that day. You're not getting it. It will be Christmas. So this is, whenever it released was like probably September or October. It was sometime in the fall. And I remember one time it was with the 360 and Jesse, Bill let him just go ahead and play his. And I was like, so man, I was calling mom. I was like, it is not fair, and, but no, she, God bless her. She made me wait like she should have. And she did. But yeah, I mean, those were some good times because you had the Madden games. I think at that time you had some of the NCAA football games.
Most likely, yeah.
And then we know
Halo 3 hadn't dropped yet.
Halo 3 had not dropped yet. That was 2007. The 360 came out in 2005.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, yeah.
So it was still backwards compatible with Halo 2.
Yes.
Which was still rocking at that time.
Yes. And I used to get, I don't know if you would call it stage fright or what, but when I would play online, like, I would feel so nervous, so scared. Now I get online and it's like, it is like, it's relaxing to me. But back then I was so nervous because it was like where you stood on the totem pole in friend groups was how good you were at certain video games that, Well,
I remember the first time I played Halo 2 online. I had never played it online before. I got it. This was on the 360. Of course, this is well after Halo 3 released. This is, later years. And I was like, hey, I'm going to try that out. So I guess it was called Team Deathmatch.
Yes.
Where you were like certain colors.
It's actually Team Slayer.
Team Slayer. Okay. That's it. Say, I forgot. It's been so long. I forgot all that. So they put me I was on a team. And I didn't know that in the settings, you could actually turn on when you actually shoot your own teammate by accident, it counts.
Yes.
So at this time, Halo 3's been out, so all the people still playing Halo 2, they're all elite.
Right.
In a sense. They're really good.
Yeah, they're hanging on to that because they're good at that and they enjoy it.
So it starts right off the bat. I get a kill. And of course, at the time, I'm still wearing a mic, the old school 360 microphone. And he's like, oh, yeah, good job, man. Good. And of course, they're all talking, chit-chatting. So I was like, all right, good. So I remember it was like almost like playing on boulders or something like that. I can't remember what map that was. And a dude jumped up and, of course, just at a stage fright like you was talking about, bam, I shot. Killed him. It was my own teammate.
Yeah.
So they was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, man, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't think you could shoot your own teammate.
Yeah.
Well, like 2 or 3 seconds later, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have counted as a death or something like that. Whatever.
I think it removes
a
kill or can make, if your team's 0, it makes you go negative.
So then I wound up getting killed by the other team.
Yeah.
And then I went from hero to 0 in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, man.
And they booted me out of the game.
Yeah.
And then they were sending me messages after they had booted me from the game.
Yeah.
I ain't going to say the messages they sent me. They were rough.
Yes, very rough.
And after that, I never played Halo 2 again online.
Yeah.
I was like, whew, that's rough.
Yeah, I remember my first Halo 2 match. I don't remember if I was playing with any of my friends or not, or if I was playing solo. But whatever it was Team Slayer. And it was, I think the map was called Foundation. But it had like it was a round map, and it had these it had this structure in the middle, and then it has one or two bridges that connect to it from the outside wall, and then each team has their own little base, but it's still like this old architecture building. And I didn't get a single kill that entire game, and I was just getting absolutely roasted in the post-game chat. And they were like, somebody was like, you need to like take your disc and put it back in the case, take the case, go back to GameStop and get your money back. Yeah, dude. But there was actually one guy that was like actually like super cool. He was like, dude, like, you know, I told him, you know, it was my first game. I just hadn't played online. He's like, don't worry about it. And of course, the times where you get humiliated stick with you the most, but I've never forgot that one dude being chill and just like telling me like to just keep playing, you'll get better. And I did. And I was never on the level of like Foot or Derek Geralds or Ryan Turner. I think Jack Hayes was maybe really good. Or who were the people? Barrett Pruitt was good.
Yeah.
But I never got to. I wasn't good enough to. And it's
I
just
never
petty.
played with them.
I wasn't good enough to play with them.
I heard how good they was.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had that bad experience at one time. Like, man, I can't believe this is that serious. For one thing, this is video games in our spare time.
Yeah.
How is it that serious? Call of Duty was like more my way. And me and my dad, we played Call of Duty because when we got that 360, it wasn't until like 07, 08, something like that. Me and him played it a bunch because he loved playing too, you know. And especially like Modern Warfare 3.
Yes.
The survival.
Yes.
That's something you could play for hours on end if you got hooked into it, because they just it's like Horde on Gears of War. They just
keep coming.
They just keep sending them.
Yeah. What was the map in, I don't know if it's the one you played, but my favorite one was like this little French city.
Underground. Had the buses on it.
I can't remember if it had buses on it, but you could go in the buildings and like you could, let me look it up real quick while I'm talking about it and see if that's what it is. But you could go into the buildings, and I would set up like claymores and different things like that. And I had this corner that I could essentially just stake out in.
Put a sentry gun at and let
and let it do the job. Let's see if it was I don't think it was underground. It was because the map, I think you're when you played on it in deathmatch was the GIGN versus whatever the terrorist group. So it was
I got you.
Sorry, I'm being a turd because I really Matt France, what was it called? Resistance.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I play that every now and then.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see it, but
because you could go up the stairs, and then there was like an alleyway where the map ended, and you could funnel everybody into like a kill zone, more or less. And you could set up sentry guns, call in airstrikes when the what do they call that? The
UAV or Reaper, the AGM,
the Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut.
When it would drop out of the helicopter,
you
could throw an airstrike out, and then bam, bam, bam. Get it right there.
Yeah, and you like Predator missiles, everything.
Yeah,
and like I think back then, which it came out at a good. I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would say it was good.
The next generation console come out.
Yeah, and of course, you had movies like Transformers and stuff that came out back then, which like there was just so much that came out at that time, media wise, games, movies that like made seeming like being a soldier or serving in the military was just the greatest.
Yeah.
The greatest thing.
Romanticized.
Absolutely romanticized.
Yeah.
And but like I wouldn't take, I miss those days.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think back to it, I'm like, man, that's 20 years ago, but that doesn't seem like 20 years ago.
It still feels like we're maybe in our mid-20s, but here we are in our mid-30s.
I know, man. It's like I feel like maybe it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago, I'm still 15 years removed from what we're talking about.
I mean, I'll be 36 in October, and look how close that is to 40.
I just turned 35 August 1st, dude.
And it's wild. It is. But I remember that being the first time we met was over there, and I was like, no, this dude's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was a bit of a, and I'm very hard on myself, I was a bit of a brat at times, and I've tried to learn from that and grow.
Well, we're all like it. A lot of us are like it at some point, one way or another.
And when I got that 4-wheeler,
oh yeah,
got it from you, bought your 4-wheeler.
You still got it?
No, they sold it. I forget who they sold it to, but they did.
Yeah.
But it's actually been within the last couple of years. It's not like we didn't hold on to it for a long time, because we did.
Them will run forever.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. My Papa Bowman the only thing that was wrong with it was the seat had worn out. But he had this blue Honda, 4-wheeler. I don't think they were a Rancher back then, but it was whatever.
4 tracks back then.
4 tracks. Yeah. That's what it was. And I mean, it's still, as far as I knew, it still ran just fine. I don't know whatever happened to it.
I can tell you, if an atomic bomb was ever set off in the United States, there's going to be 2 things left: cockroaches and Honda 4 tracks.
Yeah. Okay. So they're kind of like the Tacomas of the ATV world.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now people compare them to a Bayou, and so them Bayous I think are Kawasaki version. Those pretty tough, but man, a Honda 4 tracks.
Yeah.
Steel gas tank.
Yeah. Hey, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So take me back to let's talk a little bit about football, and we can talk about football in depth, or we can lay out a general framework of that time. But I remember I told Mikhail, I still remember the first day of weightlifting, first time I met Coach Pettit. I said, John, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah. I imagine how that went.
Yeah. And then for the first actual practice, I still remember that. But you would have been a sophomore at that time. So, but
I remember my first varsity practice. It was full pads. I'll get into that when we go through it. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first varsity practice that was full pads. I did warm-ups with Billy John Smith as a freshman.
Yeah.
I got destroyed. Yeah. But take me back to, I'll just let you tell, what was football like for you?
Well, I know some people have said they played in 3rd grade. I didn't start playing till 4th grade. I was on the Cowboys my first 2 years, then we went to the Titans my 6th grade year. I was a fullback and a defensive lineman, defensive end. It was just somewhere, you know how it is in Little League, they kind of shuffle you around. And I remember when we were in practice, that many years ago, we didn't have practice jerseys, So I would wear my dad's t-shirt, like a t-shirt he would wear to work or something like that. I would throw that over my pads. So I'd be out there in pads, the old helmets, the gray face mask, and have this big giant t-shirt, it looks like I'm wearing like a tarp, and it's got a little pocket right here, that's something I remember a lot. That was, you don't realize how precious them memories are, really, because you forget it, until I heard some of the other ones talk about it. I'd forgot that stuff. And I remember I started right off the bat, and I was scared to death. Like, I remember the first game, they wanted to hand the ball off to me because I was a fullback, and I was like, man, I'm kind of scared. And I can't even remember who we was playing, but I remember getting the ball and the hole opened up. I was like, I could have ran it probably 20 yards. And I just kind of jogged because I was scared.
Because
I was scared. It was just being nervous playing. Because,
Yeah.
when we practice against each other, you was kind of used to that. But when you was playing somebody else, you're like, I don't know
You
these
feel
kids.
a little exposed a little bit. Like you don't, it's just different. You don't.
And then I remember I took a hard lick from somebody that was, I remember them being a year or two older than me. And then I was like, okay, that's not that bad. And then from then on out, that kind of broke the ice for me. And I was like, okay, I kind of like this. And I was on the Cowboys, and I think Doug and Dallas Carnahan was our coaches my 4th and 5th grade year, I'm pretty sure. And then in 6th grade, we were the Titans. I remember J.W. Coomer was coach. I'm trying to remember some of my teammates. I remember Neil was a teammate, but it's really about the only one I can remember. That's been, you're looking at 25 years ago.
25 at least.
25 years ago, and I remember too when we was in 6th grade after Little League was over, I think we went to like Metcalfe County, and it was like a 6th grade team. And I remember that was the first time we all come together and played on the same team. It kind of felt like the Avengers getting together.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, we're all, we're all together now. And we went to Metcalfe County and played at the old stadium where the high school used to play years and years ago before they built. Not the newest one, and not the one we played at, but the one before that.
I'm not familiar with that. I don't even guess the newest one I'm familiar with.
I've not been to it yet.
Yeah.
I'll probably make it over there eventually, but I remember us going over there and playing, and then of course we had middle school. I was like I got moved from fullback to left tackle on offense, and then I was a defensive end. That's what I was, through middle school, and then up until my sophomore year in high school. Freshman year, I never seen the field on varsity. I was a guy on the sideline. It'll probably scare me to death even if I did get in there. But
yeah.
I played freshman in JV, and then sophomore year I played JV, and then I played varsity, but it was just special teams. And then I would get it on offense and defense if it was like a blowout or something like that. And then junior year, that was my first year actually starting varsity, and I was just going one way, left tackle on offense. And I know it's been talked about a couple of times, but the infamous ejection at Adair County.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it through the eyes of the guy that got ejected.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny to talk about. It was kind of wild when it happened, but I remember, of course, we played Taylor County that was the first game, and it was a heartbreaking loss because we were up, and they come back, and I think they beat us. It was a touchdown or less. That was a heartbreaker, and that was the first game I actually played an entire varsity game. So we went to Adair County, and I remember we was up. The game was put away. I think, if I remember, I just remember we beat them pretty good, And I remember it starting to get chippy, probably around the third quarter or something like that. And it was between different players. And it was a lot of them shoving back after the play. And in the fourth quarter, this is late in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I remember I got pulled. It was, been in all game. It was out of reach at this point. I got subbed, so I come to the sideline, and I can't remember if I was the first or I was one of the first starters to come out. But you remember Coach Pettit was like, you come out of the game, don't be sitting down on the bench. Get up and support players just like they have you.
Yeah.
Well, when I come out, I went over and got some water, and I sat down. Of course, by this time, a play had transpired, and I had seen flags. And I'm sitting there just drinking water, and it stopped, I guess when they were assessing the penalties or whatever. And all of a sudden I hear, Cornelius! I was like, oh no, he's caught me sitting down drinking water.
Yeah.
So I grab my helmet and I get up, and I'm kind of going through the people, and he goes, you're done. And I was like, what? He goes, you're ejected. You're done. And I was like, what in the world? I wasn't even in the game.
Right.
And I had this like horrible feeling. I was like, that don't make no sense. So I was like, okay. I was like, between now and the game being over, I was like, oh, they'll get it fixed. That can't be right, because I had just come out.
Right.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
So, well, the game's over. They're talking about, players getting ejected. I think me and maybe Colby Hamilton might have been one, and there might have been another one. And I was like, well, that'll get fixed by Monday. They'll appeal it, whatever. I mean, if you got film,
because if you if you got ejected game, you were to sit out the next game.
You had to sit out the next game.
Yeah,
I was like, there's no way they've got film. By Monday, it'll be back to normal. Just a mistake. So Monday rolls around, and I remember Monday was film and lifting and kind of a walkthrough kind of deal, and we went through that like normal. And I remember Coach Pettit saying that he's like, "Well, we're trying to appeal it," and he's like, we'll hear back, whatever. And it's like, so we go on. Tuesday was offensive day. And of course, that was the day was my main heavy workload day was,
right.
Because we were running scrimmages and stuff like that. So when they called first offense up to do the, scrimmage like we done towards the end of practice to go through plays against the scout team and their defense and what their defense was going to look like. And this time it would have been LaRue County. So I remember we broke the huddle and I got up there and it was kind of a pause and Coach Pettit said, "We need to get the right personnel in." And I was like, yeah, I'm not playing.
So what was it like? Just shoving back and forth, like because
There was some shoving, yeah, and it was multiple players, and I remember Josh, which I think the penalty was actually supposed to be assessed for Josh Harlan. I remember they did shove him after the play one time in his back. I remember,
yeah.
They went up and just shoved him right in his back right after the whistle had blown. So, I mean, it was coming. I mean, we're winning. It's like, if you're getting beat, just go back to the other side and let's get this game done.
Sure.
There's no sense in fighting over it. And then that's, what it all stemmed from. So, and I remember sitting out that week. Of course, I had to set out the LaRue County game. And according to the rules, I don't know if it's still the same, but when a player is suspended, you can't even wear your jersey on the sideline. Even if you was in shorts and blue jeans, you still couldn't do that. So I had to wear like jeans and a t-shirt that didn't even say Monroe County on it. It couldn't even say that. So I had to look just like a personnel, I guess. Yes. You know what I mean? So I remember riding the bus up there, riding the bus back, and that was a long week. But
so thinking back to that week, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember much about that. I don't know if I was just probably good chance I was in my own little world at that time, but were you like in trouble with the coaches? Like, did they like,
no,
were you disciplined for it or anything like that?
No, because I mean, they watched the film and they seen it's like, oh, he's right here. He's right here.
Yeah.
Even though I was on the sideline sitting on the bench drinking water like I wasn't supposed to be, but yeah, it's like, it was just a mistake. And it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Film back then was grainy. Even in 2008 or that was 2007. If we looked at that film today, it's probably like we're watching something from the 70s.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And of course, the KHSAA, I'm sure that on their totem pole was probably at the very bottom.
Sure.
So, and I remember thinking, it's like, man, that sucks. I have to sit out. You watch the guys you working with and stuff. They're going out there and playing, and you got to be on the sidelines without them. And it sucked. But looking back too, though, you got to think. Josh Harlan was a senior, and that's his senior year, and you're just limited number of games, and that would suck to be a senior and have to sit out a game. Yeah. So looking back, I'm kind of thankful it was me because he got, he would get to play more. Because if I was a senior, I wouldn't want to get ejected for a game. And if we only had, we're only guaranteed 10 games. If I'm pretty sure it was a 10 games, a normal 10 game schedule, that's all you guaranteed anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, so that year was just a rough.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of adversity, and I mean, I remember Joseph getting hurt in a scrimmage. I think it was against Russellville. He blew his knee out. I remember that.
Yeah.
Like, man, there's a starter. He started the year before. You know? And it was just I mean, if you look at the games, I'm not mistaken, there was several games, well, maybe not several, but there was a few games that we lost by a very slim margin. So if you think if we tip the scales one way, a difference between 2-9 and whatever else could happen.
I know.
And
it's just it's rough, but it was good. It was at the time it wasn't pleasant at all, but it was good to face that, especially at that age, because life, that's how life is, man. Life
And it's set up for next year too. You know, you facing that adversity. You know, it's going to set up. You know what you need to do for next year. You know how losing feels. No, it's no fun.
Yeah.
So you know the next year it's our last go around.
Mhm.
You know that'll be your senior year. So it kind of helps set up some things. But I remember Greene County, because we played Greene County earlier in the year. They beat us at home, and we went there for the first round of the playoffs. And I think it was a running clock, honestly. I think, but we were still in the huddle after the game. I remember, and I had my head down, and all I remember hearing was weight rooms open Monday.
Right.
And I was like, because I was used to getting like maybe a few weeks off before we started hitting weights, and I don't know who the voice was. I don't know if it was Mikhail, if it was another junior, or if it was Coach Pettit, or even an assistant. I don't remember. I just remember hearing weight rooms open Monday, and I was like, we're going to bust it up wide open Monday.
Yeah.
You know, and then when Monday rolled around, it wasn't even the end of the week, and we were already at the stadium. So
I still remember that, dude.
yeah.
And that was, I mean, for at the time, for me, who I was at the time, that was a very, like, challenging thing to go through, because my heart was not. I guess you could say that I had more going on in life at that time than just football.
Mhm.
But, like, that was, to me, that just became another. My perception of it at the time was that was just another stressor. That was just something else that was getting more and more difficult.
Mhm.
But, um, it was necessary for me, because somewhere along the lines, I understood that I'm gonna have to take my mind off of the fact that things suck,
Mhm.
and actually, well, and it's like, okay, it's okay to admit that it sucks. Things suck, and it's okay to admit that it sucks. It's not fun. It's not fair. It's not whatever. But some things, no matter what, you have to get through it,
Right.
and you can get through it. You can go with the grain, or you can go against the grain.
Mhm.
And unless it's going against your morals, your values, unless it's illegal, unethical, or immoral, it is so much better to go with the grain than against the grain. And
And
that's what I needed at that time in my life.
and it's not just football, but it's other sports too that, you're not gonna face anything in football or any other sport, any adversity that you ain't gonna face grow up
Mhm.
in life, because there's gonna be days when you don't feel like getting out of bed and going to work.
Absolutely.
You got people depending on you, and you
Yes.
got people at work depending on you. You gotta get up and go do it whether you want to or not.
Yes.
And you're gonna face adversity, everyday troubles, setbacks, anything like that. And when you're doing that in a sport at a younger age, I say a controlled environment because it's sports. So it's
Mhm.
not like we're out life or death,
Right.
but you're able to push through that. You're able to find out if you can get through that or not
Yes.
at a young age, and that'll set you up for later in life.
And if you can't get through it, if you have a good coach or a good set of coaches or a good set of friends, they can teach you how to get through it. They
Mhm.
can point
Yeah.
out where you're
Yeah.
going wrong.
Oh, yeah.
For me, a lot of it was just my mindset,
Yeah.
and I think that's I think that's what's the issue with a lot of people today, myself at times included, is it's our mindset that's getting in our way. It's our own head getting in our way, and not our physical or, limitations.
Right. And I was never a vocal leader. I didn't talk, yell, holler a lot. Um, but I was surrounded by other guys in my class who were strong leaders. And, I mean, you know who they are. We all know who they are.
Mhm.
You know, and the motto was going in was it was tough love.
Yep.
And it's like that's a good motto to have, because if you ain't doing what you need to do, if you ain't performing like you need to do, you're gonna get replaced by somebody who will.
Right.
Just because you're a senior doesn't mean you're going to get to play if you're not doing it. I felt like that. It's like if you're not showing up, getting better, working hard, and if you're not performing on the field like you should, I mean, I could have been replaced easy.
Right.
I'm sure at times they probably wanted to replace me anyway. I mean, I wasn't no standout athlete, but I did show up. I was there working with my teammates, trying to get better, trying to make the team better. But that tough love mindset was a good thing to have because it don't matter who you are. We want to win ball games.
Yes.
That's what it takes. So,
And
I was blessed to be around people like that. All the way from the first time I ever played basketball in like first grade,
Mhm.
all the way up to my senior year of high school, I was blessed to have people like that around me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then, I've already blanked out on the exact word but it basically, like, if you wanna succeed in the game, or if you wanna succeed in whatever sport it is, but it's like learning that it's not just about the sport, it's the fact that learning that at a young age carries over into adulthood,
yes.
carries on into because that's how life is
Yeah.
that's how life's gonna operate. And and at a much, more, volatile and unpredictable manner,
Yeah.
because sports are controlled environment. You know who your enemy is, you know who you're expected to play, you get
Mhm.
their game film,
Right.
you get
Right.
to you but life is you're either going into a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm, and but you don't know when you're coming out of a storm. Good to expect another one to come, but you're not gonna be able to predict it. And so, which, um, I feel like would be a good segue into talking about some of the stuff that you've, uh, went through in life, if if we're not ready to get to that
Mhm.
yet, we don't have to. We can stay with the
Oh yeah,
more.
we'll get to that. I have to
Okay,
kind of keep it in a timeline because I'll get
absolutely.
scattered
So
and
so let's talk about you wanted to talk about, uh, you mentioned talking about when we went and watched The Dark Knight.
that was in 2008. I remember that. I'd
Yeah,
never been to a midnight premiere. That
yeah,
was wild.
yeah. I had went to watch, in 2005, May, I went to watch, Star Wars Episode 3 at
Mhm.
midnight, but that was the only midnight release I'd ever gotten to do. Of course,
Okay.
I had to have mom and dad actually came too, so we all went together and watched it. This was the first time I was actually going to watch one, like, on my own,
Yeah,
and I got 2 tickets,
we
so
was
I
in the Tacoma, wasn't
well,
we?
yeah,
Yeah,
and it was like 2 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning on the way, and you're like, "Dude, I don't know if you're awake, but you're swerving really bad right now." I'm awake, dude. I'm getting us there. Oh, it was a good time zone.
yeah. I'm seeing that movie theater packed like that in
Mhm.
several different rooms, and we were sitting in there just like bunched in. But that opening scene of The Dark Knight when it's the Joker and he's
Yeah.
carrying his mask, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be.
Yeah, and the movie, like, really, of course, that came out that year, and then the first Iron Man movie came out that year, but more so The Dark Knight than Iron Man, even though it did do this, pushed the it took superhero movies from being, like, super, like, cartoonish
Mhm.
and to, like, "Oh, man, this is a movie my parents would actually like to
Yeah.
watch," you know? And, like, when and the scene that comes to mind, there's so many of them, but the scene that comes to mind, uh, is the when he goes to make the pencil disappear.
Yeah.
You remember that scene?
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, "Dude,
He like slams his
this
hand.
a Batman movie, man,"
Yeah.
like, but, like, it was good because it was kinda like at least for me, my childhood heroes were progressing in a maturing way as far as content
Mhm.
as I was,
Yeah.
you know, and, um, now that scene back then was like that would catch you off guard, but from then until now, all the things we've seen in movies, like it's like nothing.
Yeah.
That's like watching somebody get punched in the face when we
Yeah.
were kids, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like jump started all, you talking about Iron Man, jump
Mhm.
started all the good Marvel movies.
Yes.
And of course we got Doomsday coming up in December.
I know, man.
Be
I know,
be
and I'm
great.
really hoping it's good because I feel like things really fell off. Most everything fell off after Endgame came out. There's been some good things, you know. I think Guardians of the Galaxy has been consistent. Thor's been hit or miss. Um, Loki was a good. I don't know if you watched it, but it was pretty
I
good.
haven't watched it yet. I've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy, most of the Ant-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
Watched all the Avengers movies, all of Thor's movies, all the Iron Mans. I watched Captain Marvel, and I actually like the Thunderbolts too.
Oh yeah, see, Thunderbolts was good. I
Thunderbolts
liked
was
it.
actually good. I was like, it said,
Yeah.
it had the asterisk. It says the new Avengers. I was like, this will be terrible. But it was actually really good.
Yeah. I did. What did you think about, or did you watch the new Captain America movie?
Not the not the latest one.
Yeah.
I have watched the original Captain America. What's the Winter Soldier? One
Mhm.
called the Winter Soldier, and then
Mhm.
wasn't there the Civil
Civil
War?
War.
I watched it. That's
Yeah.
probably the last Captain America.
Yeah. The new Captain America, I just felt like the quality was not that good. So when the Suicide Squad movie came out,
I've never seen it.
which is, it's DC, but like the trailer for it was amazing.
Mhm.
But then the movie itself was not great. It felt like you were watching an hour and a half or 2 hour long movie trailer. Like there wasn't any depth to it. And I don't know, there just didn't seem, I just could not, I just didn't care. So I don't know when it come to the new Captain America movie. So I don't know if it was like burnout or if the quality just really wasn't that good. But yeah, anyway, I'm hoping that Doomsday
At some point, it
is
has
good.
to end, though. Is this going to be the last Avengers movie? It has to because
It-
it's got Fantastic Four in it. I seen
Yeah.
in the trailer.
Well, the way it's set up is I've got Doomsday coming out the end of this year, and then Avengers Secret Wars coming out the following so winter 2027. But the kicker is there's no MCU as far as I know. I know at least no movies. I don't know about shows, but at least no MCU movies between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So we're going to have a whole year without.
Yeah.
Then that's kind of what they did with Infinity War
Mhm.
and Endgame, which Infinity War, in my opinion, is better than Endgame.
That's what I was about to say. I thought so too. Should aim for the head.
Yeah, dude, it was so good, and God, and of course, I was sometimes I'll I won't make mom and dad watch a movie with, but I know if I ask, hey, do y'all want to watch this? They're probably going to say yes,
Mhm.
whether they want to or not. They're just good at like that. And I remember when Avengers Endgame was coming out, they had not seen any of the MCU movies.
Mhm.
So like the year before Endgame came out, anytime I was with them, we would like marathon some of the movies.
Yeah.
Then we got to Infinity War and Thanos snapped and everybody disappeared, and Dad was like, "What happened now?" And I was,
And see, the thing about that too is in that universe, I think it was Ant-Man and Wasp.
mm-hmm.
Scott Lang went into that
Yes,
multiverse or
yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah,
And when Fingers snapped, he was in that multiverse. So when you get into Endgame
yeah,
and you're in, all the people had disappeared and they had the monuments and stuff, and then here he is coming back in that van in a storage. And
yeah,
if you didn't know that, you're like, well, where did this dude come from?
yeah, man.
You wouldn't understand that he was actually in a different universe,
Yes.
and
Yeah, and I just felt like with we had watched upwards of like 20 movies, if not more than 20 movies, and he'd never asked a question, and then all these people disappear, and Dad's like, "So tell me what happened." I'm like, "Dude, how far back across this 20 movie span do I have to go to explain what what happened. But, and then we went and watched Endgame in theater. Did the same thing with Star Wars, which I didn't make mom and dad watch 1, 2, and 3. And I hate saying making them watch. That's just how I feel like they actually enjoy watching movies with. But this was 2015. This is before I left for basic training. There was 3 weekends in a row. We watched Star Wars: A New Hope. Next weekend, Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back. Next weekend, we watched Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. And then I guess it was that following week was when I went to basic and came back. The day that I got to come back from basic was the day that Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, come out. And so we got to go watch it. I don't know. I don't know what it is about movies, but that's just like a special time, a bonding time, because I'm so far removed from my brother and my sister as far as my interests are, and even my parents. I'm just so far removed. So if I can watch something they like and they watch something I like, I feel like that's good quality time to have. But yeah.
See, like Morgan and the kids, they don't want to watch typically the stuff I do. So, we're kind of a Bluey family.
Yeah.
Ratatouille, Boss Baby, in which I like them movies.
Yeah.
I like Ratatouille and Boss Baby. I don't mind watching.
Yeah.
We kind of got that on repeat right now.
I haven't watched much Bluey. I watched Ratatouille. I think there's multiple Boss Baby movies, but I think I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, the first one's better, I feel like.
But I watched, not ashamed to admit this, I watched Toy Stories 1 through 4 all in one day, it's probably been 6 or 7 months ago, but I was just like, I haven't seen these movies in forever.
Well, I mean, that come out when we were kids. That was our Toy Story 1, we was the target audience. So it's like, we want to finish it. So I have no shame saying I'm going to watch it with my kids.
Yeah, the last one I watched, there was like a big carnival at the end. So I guess that was 4, and maybe Toy Story 5 is what's,
I think, is 5
just come
now?
out, or it's coming out?
It's
No,
out.
it's out.
It's out.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet.
The kids have been to see it, but I didn't go with them. So.
But yeah, so anyway, back to 2008. That was your all's senior season.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Well, coming into the season, we had all that adversity last season, didn't go how we wanted to, and I felt like, me personally, I was like, hey, I think we're going to do good. Mid-calf was really good in 07. They got beat by Fort Campbell, I think, maybe the semi-state. I was like, I think we got to really, and you knew Greene County was going to be good again. Like, I think we're going to do all right. I remember Taylor County, right off the bat, we won. We won several straight. I remember Greenwood was the first loss. Of course, that's Greenwood. That's a big school. And they had a good season too. I think they won a few playoff games, and they were 4 or 5A. Losing to Greenwood, we turned around. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't, of course, I don't look back at the schedules or nothing like that, but it was Greene County. It was either within 1 or 2 games after the loss with Greene County. And to me, they kind of felt like a kryptonite to me because we lost to them twice the year before, and they were really good. Like, man, this is going to be tough. We're going up there, and it's championship. It's like, and this is tough. You go into Greene County, it sits in that bowl, and it seemed kind of, I mean, their fans are very passionate. So,
sure.
It's not going to be easy. And we went in, we won. And I remember the offensive line were all players of the game. I still got the game ball in the house somewhere. It's got the date on it and stuff like that. We won, and it felt just like relief. It felt like we got over a hump. Even though we'd only lost 1 game prior, it kind of felt like we got over a hump. We finished out the season, playoffs. I had never, freshman, sophomore, junior, I hadn't been a part of a team. We hadn't won a playoff. And Fort Knox, our first one. and getting that first playoff win. It's like, keep it rolling. Yeah, Bardstown. I remember being really nervous for Bardstown because you were hearing about how fast they was. This is going to be tough because I didn't even much more know of Bardstown.
Right.
My small mind, I've been in Monroe County my whole life
Yeah.
and didn't venture out a whole lot, not past Bowling Green, but Bardstown being the other way, but wasn't really familiar with them, but you just kept hearing about it and you're like, it's going to be a dogfight. And I remember we counter gap right. I ran my little legs off that night.
Yeah, man.
I was like, man, they're not as fast as what they were.
Advertised.
They were not as fast as advertised.
Yeah.
Because I remember doing a lot of running, counter gap right, and we just.
And it seemed like I could be wrong, but it seemed like every team we played, especially as it would get towards the end of the season or like in a regular season I guess not so much in the regular season, but just playoffs and on, there was always some characteristic about them that we had to look out for.
Yeah.
Bardstown was like, they're going to be.
Well, sometimes I feel like, of course, social media wasn't big back then either, and sometimes I kind of felt like people would kind of write us off, like, this Monroe County group is, this is a hard hitting team,
Right.
and they're fast and they play good together.
Right.
All of them do. So I kind of feel like maybe we're getting wrote off a little bit. And we beat Bardstown pretty good.
Yes.
I remember correctly. We beat them
did.
pretty good. And then Greene County comes back and it's region. I was really nervous that week. I remember for the game, I just sat there with my head down, just tapping my feet, kind of like I am now. And I never said a word. And I knew it was going to be tough because they had a really good defensive end. And like, I got to do my job because he could ruin our night if I don't. And I don't want to be in that spotlight. I was like, we beat them before. We can do this again.
Sure.
There wasn't no doubt that we couldn't beat them. I was like, I think we're going to go out and take care of business. And it was an absolute dogfight.
It was.
I was just as nervous the last play of the game as I was the first play of the game.
Yeah.
Because, it was like everything we were throwing at them, they were throwing it back. And it was just haymakers. I remember they broke a big run, and we were breaking big runs. And when Jared blocked that punt, that was
it.
That's all time moments right there. I wish I could go back and just be a fan in the stands when that happened because that place was loud.
Absolutely.
And that was
there's
crazy.
Never been maybe there's been times that have been close, but there's never been for me a time that felt so monumental. And maybe that was my own individual experience, but like I've never felt like I belonged to something that mattered as much as I did during that playoff season, and especially that week. And then seeing that picture of you all coming off the field, Clint's jumping up in the air, and like I don't know, like there's just never been anything. There's been so much that mattered to me in my life, but like as far as being a part of something that mattered, that just stands out to me. And maybe it's because I can still be a part of that community. Like I'll always be a part of the military community, but like we don't all live together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Here, that's still a thing. That's still a staple in some people's minds.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
And it's just very special.
Yeah. 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 And we won that regional championship. I was like, awesome to be a part of that. But, that didn't always come around, especially in the past. I think it had been several years. There was a region championship one here. So it's like, going into that game, there wasn't no doubt. Like, we can beat them again. It's just, it feels like there's some pressure there. It's like, we're home. It's the region. If we lose, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a time. And next week, the Avengers rolled in.
Yeah, man.
Fort Campbell.
I was about to say Fort Knox.
I remember they were wearing Nike uniforms. They had spats around their ankles. I was like, man, they had athletic trainers on the sideline. I was like, wow, this is. And
all the training money you can buy, dude.
yeah. And they were good. They were good at every spot in the ball. They were good, and we played really well. I felt like one or two played difference. We're going to state championship. But they remember us. I know they do. Because when I get to later, when I was in college, one of their players played for Western. Said, "Oh yeah, I remember y'all." So, yeah, and I was blessed. Like I was saying earlier, I was blessed to grow up with the guys that I did, and even I had friends that didn't even play sports that I hung around a lot. I was blessed to have them as friends and people that played other sports than just football. And I was blessed to have the friends I had, the talent that I played around, not just in my class, but classes before me and your class, people in Jackson Arnett's class. I was blessed to be surrounded by that kind of talent. That was something really good to be a part of because, small town like this, you don't see that a lot.
Right.
Because, it's see that in big cities, every class that comes out is just loads of talent.
Mm-hmm.
I was very blessed to be a part of that, and I'm thankful for all the memories. Be able to that I never got hurt and was able to actually play all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's them memories. We'll talk about them the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
And then just life you're living between all that too. Spending weekends with your friends, doing all stuff,
and there's people that don't and it's not their fault. There's people that don't understand why we can tell the same stories over and over and enjoy it just as much each time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those things that, like, if you can't understand it unless you've been a part of it, But so that gets us through your senior year, your senior season.
Yeah.
So walk me through what's been going on for you since then.
Well, right after high school, before I started college, I took a job with Life Skills here in town.
I didn't know that. Well, maybe I did, but
I worked for the summer program.
Yes,
Just during the summer.
I think. Did you tell me that recently? Probably, maybe.
I might have. Yeah. The summer of 2009 and the summer of 2010, I done that. To have a job. And of course, it lasted pretty much all the summer, right before school started back. So it was a good thing for me. It was very eye opening because we were working with kids that were less advantaged. I guess that makes sense. They wasn't at an advantage. They had a lot of adversity.
Absolutely.
And that was eye opening. That was really eye opening. I realized in the game of life, I was starting on first base. A lot of these kids, they were still trying to get a ticket to get into the ball game. That made me realize that, my parents give me everything I needed and a lot of what I wanted.
Absolutely.
I was blessed. That was very eye opening for me, and I done that 2 years. It kind of made me wonder, well, maybe I need to go into a field like that. Then, it tugs at your heartstrings too. It's like, maybe I'm not strong enough for that. I don't know if I'm cut out for that. Even though I want to be able to help, but I don't know if I'm cut out for that. But I never did. I never did pursue it. And in the end, in today's time, it's worked out well for me. I'm blessed to be in the position I am today. But so I started college and I wanted to be an athletic trainer, like at a college football level. I actually wanted to be a college football athletic trainer, which I didn't know a whole lot about. I knew their scope of work, so I knew the stuff they done. But when I was a sophomore in college or junior in college, my classes, I went from Glasgow to Bowling Green. Everything was at the football stadium. All of my classes were it was exercise science was my major.
Yeah.
And I had to do a practicum. Before I could graduate, I had to do a practicum, and I had to do a internship. And I told my advisor, this is what I want to do. And like, okay, well, I think we know some people that, you can do that. You can go to the athletic training room at the football stadium. I was like, oh, man, that'd be nice. He said, go over there, stay out of their way, just stuff. If they ask you to do something, do it. Just shadow them and don't get in their way and get your credits in for it, graduate. I was like, okay. So they sent me a guy's name. Of course, I know Neil was still there at the time when I
Yeah.
first went in.
Yeah.
Neil was still there. So I remember walking down lower side, the newer side of Western Football Stadium in the big glass area right there, and I was nervous. I didn't know anybody. I'm telling you, it was like me going to New York City.
Sure.
I didn't know anybody.
Yes.
And I'm one of the football players that come out. You had to have a key fob to get in. So I was like, how am I even going to get in here to even talk to this guy? And I'm like sweating. And this is like January. This is
Yeah, dude.
January of 2020. Yeah, January 2012, I think. So I'm sweating bullets. This ain't going to work. I'm just going to. Well, just so happens a football player comes out. Door kicks open. In here.
Yeah.
I walked in. Going farther, you got to have another key fob. At this point, it's at the weight room at Western Football Weight Room. And the football team is in there at this time.
Yeah.
Music's loud, yelling. I mean, it was like
You felt intimidated.
I was looking through that window and I'm like, my goodness. And that was the only way to get in there. And I was like, oh my goodness. Well, sure enough, guess who come walking out the door? The guy I needed to see. He's like, you Brad? He's like, I heard about you. And I was like, yeah, he hadn't met him. We hit it off. He took me and showed me the stuff. And I told him, I was like, I'd like to be an athletic trainer. And I don't know if Western's got it even today, but back then you would have had to do your undergraduate, and then you had to go to a graduate school, get your ATC certification. And they didn't have it. And he was telling me all that, and I was like, well, while you're here, he's like, work with us. And he's like, here's this training room. It served as a training room for like football, soccer, baseball, different things.
Mm-hmm.
I went in, and they kind of took me in like family. And they had student trainers too, which I would become to be, but they were just students just like I am, and they worked there pretty much full time when they wasn't in class. They took me in, and at the end of the semester, it was like April, May. The head guy come to me and he's like, "Hey, come here in the office. I'm gonna talk to you for a minute." Oh man, I done because you never know. Because you got football coaches that you see on TV, like Willie Taggart,
sure,
famous, well, relatively famous anyway, and he's the head coach of a D1 football team, and you got him walking around talking to players like, "Man, did I do something? Did I bump into him?" Yeah, he's like, "Hey, man, you've worked really hard." And we got a little bit of scholarship money. He's like, I can give you a little bit for next year. He's like, you want to come on starting at fall camp? Like starting in fall camp, show up, we'll give you a little bit of scholarship money. And he's like, you work with us, we'll give you uniform, stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, I about jumped out of the seat.
Yeah, man.
I was excited. And I was like, man, this is awesome. So fast forward to that first fall camp, and that's when I seen that college football was a business. It's not out there for the love of the game.
Right.
It's strictly
business.
And the very first fall, like some people call it Hell Week, stuff like that, but that first week of camp, I showed up before, it was 2 hours before daylight getting stuff ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the scope of an athletic trainer is a lot more than what people see on TV. And in water bottles and putting Band-Aids on. There's taping ankles, therapy. There's a whole line of scope of work that people don't see. And we done that, and I was like, man, I loved it. I did. Even though it was hard work, I loved it. And I done that for the 2012 season, and then I stayed on for the 2013 season too. And then by that time, I was graduated out. And Neil, I remember seeing Neil for the first time, and that made it feel like home right there, because you had all these people I just come to know. It didn't really feel like home, but you got Neil Wilson down there. I was like,
I get you. I know exactly what you're saying.
Me and Neil grew up together, played ball together from little league all the way up through high school. And there he is. It feels like home. And he introduced me to some cool people.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And I was very fortunate to get to do that. And we go. I got to see a lot of stuff I didn't never think I would get to see. I got to go to the Western's first bowl game. Detroit.
Yes.
It was just a Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, but it was nice.
A bowl.
It was. I had to ride the bus up there. I didn't get to fly with the team because they were taking so many people. I rode the bus up there. Of course, I had to miss Christmas, which that sucked, and that kind of put a seed in me there. It was like this seed of maybe this ain't the path you need to pursue.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, college football is business.
Right.
And I remember being up there, you missing Christmas Day. We were working just like a whole day. It wasn't Christmas. It was.
That's just not for you.
So then that seed started to blossom. So it's like, hey, this is going to be an every year. If I wanted to do it at this level, it's going to be an every year thing. It's like, how you going to raise a family? So I kind of put it on the back burner after that was over with. Next season, of course, all off season. The next season rolls around. Of course, they had a coaching change. My opinion, the staff that was there before, it was a very good atmosphere. Then it got kicked into overdrive with the one, I ain't gonna say no names, but it come in after that, and then it was just it was not nothing I realized, because not everybody's gonna be like that, because at the time they're still Sunbelt, stuff like that, and relatively small in the division or FBS level. Then this one come in, and he'd been at several. He'd been B conference, he'd been in the ACC, and that's when it was business overdrive.
Right.
He comes in, no talking. Be on guard all the time. There ain't no cutting up with him like there was the other one. Down to earth guy. This wasn't like it. I remember asking one of the trainers one time, who was strictly with football, I was like, how many days a week? Of course, I knew at the time they worked all the time. But when I was gone, like, what did they really do? Oh, they were there. They missed. They were there every day. It's like,
Yes.
have a day off? Not really. How can I do that and have a family?
Right.
I don't need to pursue that. Everybody wants to have family, kids,
Absolutely.
live a good life, but it's like, maybe I shouldn't pursue that. Then I went through that season, and it wasn't as fun as the season before. Let's just say that.
Absolutely. I get that.
It wasn't as fun. I did get to go to West Point though.
Really?
They played Army. That was neat. West Point's like its own thing.
So do you feel like it was kind of the directions and leadership of one person that really played into changing your mind? Like this, like if it can be this way, then this is just.
It's probably this way most of the places.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because my direct leadership was not like that. It was just, this is the atmosphere you've got to work in. So if you're going to be working in this kind of atmosphere, it's going to be like this 99% of the places.
Yes.
Maybe this ain't it. Maybe. So I finished, I got my degree. And after that, what am I going to do from here? At the time, there wasn't really a lot of job opportunities. I wanted to stay around here close as I could, and there just wasn't a lot of job opportunities. So I went and worked for an agriculture company. Wound up getting my CDLs not long after college. I'm like, this is pretty all right. And then I got to driving a truck. I'm like, this ain't bad at all. Man.
Really? I
like
didn't know any of this.
Yeah, I got my CDLs. I was driving like a semi for them and different stuff. I was spraying crops, spreading fertilizer. Actually, they bought this building up here.
Okay.
So I worked for them for 8 years. I loved it. For the most part, I loved it. Then where I'm at now, they had a job opening, and it was one of them jobs where you could apply for it and get it. You don't turn it down. So I applied one time, didn't get it, and then next time, here I am working for them 3.5 years later, and it's been a blessing, because I absolutely love my job.
Awesome.
There ain't ever a day that I dread going to work.
Really?
There hasn't been in 3.5 years. And they how most people on weekends are like, back to work tomorrow. Me, I'm getting geared up, ready to go. Sunday night, I'm like, all right, we're fixing to fire on all cylinders Monday morning.
That's good, dude. That's a blessing in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm thankful the experiences I got through college. I got to go to New York City for the first time when I was in college, working with the football team and stuff like that. I got to see some stuff. Like I said, West Point. That was neat. And it was their senior day when we went. So the festivities were pretty cool. You could see kind of off from the stadium, like them guys, they do their schoolwork like students. they have a prior military commitment once they graduate.
Yes.
So they're out there doing PT.
Yep.
They're literally doing PT.
Yes.
Then they're going to football practice, and then they're doing study hall. So
Yep.
they're everything normally see, but they're also a future soldier on top of that.
Yeah.
And that was neat. And they were very accommodating up there. You know, West Point, I remember military police was like at the gate. There was like a gate there you had to go through. Dogs and
It's
everything
essentially
like
a base, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
I think so.
I think it kind of operates
Yeah.
that way.
And that was very neat to see because I'd always wanted to see one of the academy because Navy had come to Western in 2012. I thought, man, that's pretty neat. I'm thankful I got to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So it sounds like quite the journey to just, even though you didn't, just because you go through something and don't stick with it doesn't mean that there's nothing to take away from it. And like, at the very least, you figure out what you don't like, and what you don't like has contributed to you being able to enjoy and appreciate what you have now.
Right.
Is that fair?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you know, I was asking too, it's like, you know, of course this is, you gotta think this is back going on now 13 plus years ago. So the scope of everything has changed in 13 years. It's like, but man, do you really make a lot of money? Well, not that you had to make a lot of money, but would you make enough money to survive, to justify working 363 days out of the year?
Right.
Working 365 days out of the year and missing everything. Does it justify that? In my mind, it never would. It never would. And now, I'm not saying that there's a lot of athletic trainers out there that have families and stuff like that, and they, you know, they enjoy what they do. But for me, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Well, I think there's certain jobs that take a certain type of person, a certain type of personality, a certain type of mentality. And just because you could physically do that job doesn't mean that you have to do that job.
And also, I mean, I always wanted, even since I was a young kid, I'd always wanted to be able to tape somebody's ankle. And I got to do all of that and then some. I got to do it so much, I got tired of it. I could do it with my eyes closed.
Yes.
And I haven't done it since I left there, but I could probably still do it pretty good right now if I got warmed up, you know. Yeah. And there was 2 people that played in the NFL. I got to tape their ankles when they was in college.
Awesome.
So, one played for the Broncos and one played for the Colts.
Yeah.
No, not everybody gets to say that.
You know their name? You remember their names?
Yeah. Jack Doyle and Quintarius Smith.
Okay.
One went to the Broncos. One went to
Am I crazy? Do you remember a George Fant?
Yeah.
Did he played basketball, right?
He played basketball and he played some. I think he played a little football. And he was kind of before me.
Did he go to the NFL though at all?
Yes, he played for the Seahawks.
Okay, so yeah. I'm glad. Okay, I feel a little vindicated because he was in one of my classes and I knew he played for WKU basketball, but I was a bit ignorant at the time, so I was like, I'm just going to get his autograph.
Yeah.
And so I got his autograph. I've got the notebook at home with his autograph in it still. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I heard he's a good dude because I'm pretty sure he was before me. Yeah. Like before I got into that scene. So yeah, and that's and then I'm where I'm at now. Of course, me and Morgan got married right after college. Mm-hmm. We lived here for a few years and we moved to Glasgow and we've done different, you know, stuff. Now here we are, 3 girls later. I've been blessed. At some point, either all 3 of them are going to be teenagers at one time or they're going to have 2 teenagers and one that's pretty much a teenager.
Pretty much a teenager, yeah.
Yeah, so I know that I better enjoy it now.
Yes.
Because at some point, it's going to get stressful.
Yeah. Do you enjoy, you know, is it a challenge? Is it more of a challenge to be a girl dad or is it more enjoyable or is it just kind of both at the same time? What's it like?
It's both. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just having a child is having a child, whether it's a boy or a girl. You know, a child's going to be a child. They're going to act wild sometimes. Mm-hmm. They're going to get into stuff. They're going to make a mess of the house. I feel like either one could do that. Yeah, it's a joy. My oldest, she likes basketball, but she really loves dance. And we tried soccer. She didn't really care much for it because, me deep down, like, oh, man. Oh, but,
Right.
I really enjoy seeing her love dancing. She loves it.
Yes.
And I do. I love that. It makes me happy seeing it. She
Yeah.
likes to do that.
I think it's super important, which growing up there, certain sports or whatever extracurricular activity, band, whatever, like there we would kind of segregate ourselves from. But as an adult, like whatever your kid wants to do, just let them do it because like they're doing something.
Yeah. And it's like I tell my wife, I'm not going to force her to
Mm-hmm.
that she doesn't want to do just because I want to see her play it. I don't
Yes.
ever want to be that. And she's really took to it. And she loves basketball too. She still plays basketball a lot. And my dad got her a goal, found it on Facebook Marketplace. He got her a really nice goal, like a glass backboard, breakaway rim. We
Yeah.
cemented down in, and we got a blacktop driveway. So
Yes.
we got a really nice setup there. I got a chain net on it,
It's awesome,
and
man.
yeah, we play every chance we get. It's really lessons.
What's being, which I say this after I spent 5 years married, but how long have you and Morgan been married?
We got married in June of 2014.
12 years. So what's 12 years of marriage look like? What makes it work?
Well, we both work together because
Mhm.
having 3 kids is hard. I mean, not justifying saying that having one kid is not hard. It's just we having three, so we're always outnumbered. We had two; it was one take one take the other. And
Mm.
we could still get house duties done and stuff like that. And now it's like my youngest one, she's 9 months old, so she's a lot of attention, trying to crawl, so she's getting up into stuff, and
Mhm.
she's a mama's girl. She likes her mama more than anybody. So I like to let her take her. I'll do stuff around the house, and then when kids are asleep, she does her stuff. We balance it out really
Right.
well, really.
Yeah. Did have you all always, I'm just assuming you all communicate well, but
Mhm.
have you all always communicated well? Is that something you all had to work on? Like what
I f
what
I feel like we mostly communicate well. I mean, you think life is life. It gets
Mhm.
in the way of everyday activities. Everybody's tired.
Mhm.
Everybody's got something they're stressed out about, and sometimes you forget to communicate. But, for us, I mean, we've been together 17 total years,
Mhm.
so it's kinda just almost telepathic at some
Right.
point.
If you can't read your partner after 17 years,
Yeah.
you're not paying attention, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
I've not been in that scenario, but that's just the way it would appear to
Right.
me. Um, but yeah, I think communication is difficult, because, when it comes, well, like for me in relationships, I have a hard time communicating because I don't want, well, it started out, my problem was I was a people pleaser, so I just wouldn't communicate
Mhm.
my needs. But by the time I would get to a place that I would communicate my needs, there's a whole mountain of needs,
Yeah.
and that's not their fault that I didn't. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but then like, so it's hard to know how to navigate that and not, like for me, if I have, um, like if I would like a certain amount of interaction throughout the day, maybe more so than the other person. I don't want to, like, I can communicate that, but if that's not being met, then I feel like if I am bringing it up again or then I'm trying to force them. But and I know that's not necessarily the case. It's just, it, it's just difficult. And I think it's super important to find, I was actually talking to my therapist about this. It's super important to find somebody that's just as interested in meeting your needs
Mhm.
as you are in meeting your
Right.
partner's needs.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's, for whatever reason, that's always been very difficult
Yeah.
for me to come by.
Yeah, it's just a communication thing, gotta be 50-50.
Yes.
Can't be 60-40 because
Mhm.
favor or somebody. Gotta be 50.
Yes. Yeah. And I know there's going to be days and times where like you're going to be off, or there's going to be days and times where Morgan's going to be off. But that's life. And, if you were to hold her off days against her or vice versa,
Right.
there's a problem. In my opinion, there would be a problem
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
But it's learning about forgiveness and things like
you got to
that.
have
But
mutual respect.
yes,
Mutual respect is a big.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, sometimes I like to go on tangents. But
Oh no, it's all right.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about. We kindly got about half an hour or
Mhm.
so, if you're still good with
Oh
that.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Can you tell me about like what was going on? I know you've had some health issues,
Yeah.
so can you just lay out? Pretend I know nothing.
Okay, okay. Well, I've been having symptoms for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
I think thinking back, the earliest symptom I had was probably 10 to 12 years old. That's how far back. Now, I don't have just one diagnosis. I have a book of diagnosis. So, let's see, April of 2025, which has been last year, I was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer, form of they're called neuroendocrine tumor.
Okay.
So at this point, when they were found, they were stage 4 and also what's called like a grade 3. In a tumor, in the form of a tumor, that means it's fully grown, it's spread, and it's reached its maturity. This was in multiple parts of my body that were all around my stomach region.
Mm-hmm.
So it was on the pancreas, 3 lymph nodes. Primary tumor in which they stem from was in my stomach, and then I had a small one on my duodenum stomach. Pretty sure that's where the stomach. So I was a prime candidate for a procedure called the Whipple procedure. What they done was they went in and they took all them parts where at they physically removed.
Okay.
They said chemo and radiation at that point was not going to be as viable because they were mature. And the way he described them tumors was that they almost got like armor around them. They're like a tank. Pushing large doses of that stuff through me was going to damage the surrounding tissue
Mm-hmm.
plus the them.
Sure.
So at this point, that was our only option. Well, not the only option, but that was pretty straightforward. That's what needed. And luckily, I have a good surgical oncologist. He was the first one I met, and right out of the gate, I could tell he was a confident guy. 6.5 hour surgery, done an excellent job. So, my diagnosis is they couldn't really say. They say cancer is diagnosed and where it started at. But with me, it didn't really start in one particular place. My neuroendocrine system was one of the main problems for this. I have MEN1 syndrome, and my body develops tumors. That every time my body developed a tumor, 50%, you had a 50-50 chance it was going to be malignant or benign. And they got to looking in there, and when they opened me up, they found that a lot of times it was benign,
Mm-hmm.
but there was 7 to 9 times that it fell on the malignant side.
Sure.
Um,
So I don't mean to interrupt, but I didn't know. I knew you were. I knew you were going through it, but I never understood that it was cancer. And I knew you needed a procedure, but the way, I don't know, I guess the way I understood it was you were having that surgery like it was, but maybe it was, but my understanding was like things just weren't functioning like they needed to. So it was doing more harm than good. So they just removed those things. I never understood, one, that it was cancer, two, that it was stage 4.
yeah, because
Like,
they had metastasized. So
yes.
once it gets to the point that they have spread,
Mhm.
um, that's stage 4. Um, I had, I tell you, there's so much to talk about, but I'll kind of skim over it. Um, what got it all started was I'd been having stomach issues, lots of vomiting, other things, tired all the time. Almost at times like I was having fits, like my body would have fits almost like sugar. I was low sugar or things of that nature. And I went and had a labs done, and the labs come back, and I had like no measurable testosterone. It was, I tell you what, it was so low, it was barely measurable.
Okay.
It didn't even like more or less register. Like, okay, my family doctor's like, okay, that's odd. We need to have that seen. So I go to another doctor, Bowling Green. They do some MRI stuff like that, and they seen um, these benign tumors. I've got some in my pituitary gland. They were squeezing that to where it was causing my body to have different functions. So my hormones were out of whack. So that was like baseline. Like, okay, well, this could be, you got men one that, this is causing it. And my stomach issues never got better though. And so I went to a separate doctor up in Louisville, a gastroenterologist. They done a scope. They done the scope. That's when they said, ain't no ulcer. This is something worse. Get me over to my oncologist. All the scans I'd done, PET scan, MRIs, all the stuff they'd done, this cancer does not pick up. You don't see that on them scans. They do what they call a PET dotatate. That's more or less what they feed it, and it lights up.
Gotcha.
So I went to the cancer center, done that scan, and then that's when they seen. And then I remember that day in April, after the scans were done, he walked in, and first time I'd ever met him. So right out of the gate, it's, hey, I'm such and such. And he said, good news, bad news. He was explaining to me what it was, stuff like that. And bad news is you got cancer. Good news is you got me.
Okay.
Because he's like from MD Anderson, Texas. He'd done this procedure. He had told me several times. And he was really confident. Like, I can take care of this. And he gave me the option, like, hey, you can go see other doctors, other surgeons, get a second opinion. Other people I even recommend. He said, you don't have to choose me. Timely manner. At this point, it's on your pancreas, and these other organs, and if it's spreading like it has, time of the essence. Choose you. I'm confident. So, July, we had that procedure done. It's like 6.5 hours, and I was warned beforehand. This is gonna be a very rough recovery. When I woke up consciously. How do you say that? Can't even say it. I get tongue tied.
You woke consciously?
Consciously, but my eyes wasn't open.
Okay.
So I could feel the tubes down my throat. I could feel laying there. And my mind was trying to tell my body to move, but it couldn't. Almost like I was trapped in my own brain for a minute.
Sure.
Of course, and it was just because I was, I think, 6.5 hours. And at the time, I was 350 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that probably had how much had to be sedated. So waking up was rough. After, I think, about an hour, I could finally move a little bit, finally see everything's blurry, the light shining down on you. And I've got these tubes in my throat. I have a bad gag reflex. And I go in full panic mode. And I'm going in full panic mode, and my mind is thinking that I'm flailing my arms and legs, but in reality, it's all in my brain. I'm sitting there,
Could you hear?
Yeah, I could start to hear. But
Was your heart monitor? Was that?
I could hear stuff.
Like, I didn't know if they could tell you were awake or anything like that.
It's like being out for 6.5 hours under all that. Not everything was in tune at that point. You know
Sure.
what I mean? It was like waking up from a very, very deep. It took 3 hours probably. I'd say 3 hours to finally fully come to and realize, hey, I had surgery. And that's when the pain set in too, because it cut me from here down, and I had drain tubes in. Extremely sore, because that was all just put back together, hours ago. And I remember him telling me, he's like, hey, he said, hey, try to get up. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, when you're ready, you just tell me. And after long enough, laying on that same bed, your back is just killing you.
Yeah.
I had to have people help me get up. They didn't want me putting a whole lot of weight in that
I'm
area.
sure it would like rip your core or
Yeah. And when I tried to walk, I had to have a walker and two people on each side of me. And I went from here to you, and they had to come get me in a wheelchair. That's how weak I was. You just take that as like an infant trying to walk, learning to walk again. So, over the course of 4 to 5 days, I was finally back walking at a slow pace. Got to the point I was in pretty good shape, relatively, compared to what I was. And recovery was pretty rough. Said they'd done some more scans on me. They said, "You got it all. Everything's good. Just your recovery now for the time being." I remember going days without eating because they were putting me through scans and stuff like that, and you can't. I I went over 48 hours in the hospital without eating,
Yeah, man, it's brutal.
and that started my whole weight loss thing there. Not only because they took part of my stomach out and like that, but he told me, he's like, this ain't something you can get rid of. It's terminal, but it don't have to be grim like think. Like, some people have this done and it never comes back. Have it done, it's back a week later. Everything in between. So that's why I have scans multiple. Good thing about Facebook is there's several support groups about the Whipple procedure, neuroendocrine cancer
Mhm.
support groups, and man, I'm in there with people from all around the world. It's almost like having a doctor on Facebook.
That's
These
awesome.
people know so much. There's advice given on there. Somebody's struggling, but hey, I can't recover. Whatever it is, my cancer's back within 2 weeks or in 5 years, and now my cancer's back, and they can't stop it. There's every outcome you could think of. I see it on these groups, and it's good to be a part of that. No, or not knowing that not only I'm not going through it by myself, but there's other people out there too, and they got it way worse than I do. It puts everything into perspective because life it really is fragile. Having people like that, and of course, I've got good friends, guys I work with, and a good family, and they're the 100% of the reason I got through it was because, and by God's grace, that surgeon done what he done, man.
Mhm.
For me, the diagnosis, hearing that back in, that April, it was a loss to take in at one time because I just didn't know. I didn't understand it. And, over the course of a couple of months, setting in, but I never really got super scared. It worried me a lot, but I got super scared because, it's in God's hands. That ain't nothing I can do. Only through a surgeon, because of God, through working through a surgeon is the only thing that's going to help me, and everything I do after surgery will be because of Him. It ain't nothing I can control. My body's going to do that. Body produces a tumor, cancer. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I can't stop it.
How do you live with that?
It don't bother me like it used to. Like I said, it's in God's hands. If I could control it, it would bother me, but I can't control it. I just gotta take it and run with it. And I think that just kind of human nature. If it's something you can control, it probably would bother you a lot more. Because if you can control it, you're trying to fix it, and that's the way I would be. If it was something I was doing, if it was something I was eating, whatever, something I was doing, I'd stop it, or I would be taking these medications to try. Really, there's can't help it.
Have you always been that way with things that are outside of your control, or
Yeah,
was this okay?
yeah. Now, not say I ain't gonna get mad about something, or if something happens, be frustrated or upset. But if I can control it, it makes me feel a lot better about it because I'm the one that's in the driver's seat of it. Stuff like that, I'm not in the driver's seat of. It's just you got to take it and roll on with it.
So how does this change, or does it change how you approach life
Well,
now?
it definitely changed the way I approach life because you always think you got time. And me still thinking I'm in my 20s or in my teens, oh, I've got plenty of time. oh, I'm 35 years old. Now I've got this. It's like, you need to start living life.
Mhm.
Do things you want to do. Have fun. 'Cause guaranteed. You don't always have the time that you think you do.
I admire it, dude. I hate it because I feel like I've been a not about me. I just feel like I've been a bad friend because I didn't even know like
Well,
that
we
was an
didn't.
issue,
I didn't.
or
I
I
don't.
knew you had an issue, but I didn't know what it was.
I only really talk about it when people ask because there's so much of it, and there's still a bunch of stuff that I'm missing because, and I've got like a health chart. It tells all my diagnoses. I could go through each one of them and tell you, hey, but we'd be here till 10 o'clock tonight. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And I don't really talk about it because it's hard to understand because it's like people talking about cancer, like, well, I've got breast cancer, you know,
Mhm.
and you normally hear that when you say, well, I've got neuroendocrine cancer, then you've got to explain it, and then 10 minutes later you're explaining.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't
If
really go out of my way to talk about it. I was like, hey, this don't know if I'm clear. I can go back and my scans will tell me I'm clear.
yeah.
That ain't it ain't guaranteed. That could change within a day, or it could never change, never come back. So, my doctor told me, I've seen everything from here to here and everything in between.
I would never want to normalize cancer in the sense of people getting used to the presence of cancer, but I hope you being able to talk about it, and
Oh yeah,
if enough people being able to listen and normalize it so you can talk about it without explaining it,
right.
that'd be great.
Because
But
when he first told me that, I'm like, I've never heard of that. Is that really cancer? So then you go Google at GPT, and they're like, okay, yeah, that is cancer, but that don't make no sense. That's not normal. Well, it's cancer in the form,
mm,
and cancer can form outside of them tumors. And then I get on them support groups, and I've always heard like when you've got somebody like a parent has a child or somebody theirself has like something that's rare that you commonly see, years down the line they know just as much, if not more, than the doctor because they study it so much because they're living it.
right.
And in these groups, that's what you see. I mean, I'm talking detailed stuff. You got people in there that's not doctors, but they're diagnosing. They can almost
They're
diagnose somebody.
subject matter
They're
experts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, SMEs, subject
Yes.
matter experts, and
Yes.
they're really good at it. And I see that. And one of the questions right after I joined some of them groups is like, well, somebody told me wasn't cancer, and the people in the comments just flew into a freak. Oh yes, this is very much cancer. And if you don't want to treat it like cancer, don't treat it like cancer and see what happens.
Right.
So you kind of stare. It's almost like staring at the end of a loaded gun.
Yes.
This ain't what it is. I'll take my chances. Well, somebody pulls the hammer back and start to put the finger on the trigger, and like, oh, okay, maybe I should take it more serious.
Yes.
And I struggle with that for just a little bit because like maybe I'm misdiagnosed, and it's like, no, you're not. This is it. The scans don't lie. So, and um, it's not something like I say. It's rare. It's not something to see a lot, and there's still a lot to be learned on it from the way it sounds. So,
Mhm.
my next 20 years, I'll be learning more. So,
Sure.
um, I do know that, like, say if it does come back, if it's caught early, I know there's a form of chemo in the form of a pill, like radiation through the IV, a form of it that can be taken. If it's caught at an earlier stage, that does minimal damage, surrounding tissue, acts that specifically. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there.
Mhm.
I don't know. We just there is forms of that. And there's other things that people in other countries do, and I'm sure it's probably not even allowed here. Know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know exactly what you're talking
so
about. Yeah.
people will say they've tried that, but good thing, like I said, I've got. When we talk about the Avengers, I've got the Avenger. I've got friends, I've got coworkers, church family, my family, my wife and kids. I've got the Avengers around me, so
Absolutely,
I'm
dude.
not worried about it.
That's awesome.
So when it comes back, it's like if it does come back, they tell me, hey, it's back and we've got to, see it. It's like, hey, well, let's go on with the next step. Because I figured out the more you sit and worry about it and you lose sleep on it, it doesn't change the outcome of it. If it's coming, and you just got to deal with it. And the longer you run from it, it's going to catch up. So you just got to face it head on. And that's the way with anything in life. You got something you dread doing, can't run from it
Can't
forever.
run from it. You got to get through it. I mean, you
Yeah.
can go with the grain or against it.
Yeah, exactly like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, and everything, like I was saying, growing up, it shapes you into the man you are. I mean, there's days you don't want to do it. You got to get up and go do it.
There's there's things in my life now that I still worry about that are essentially outside of my control. But something that has helped me a lot, and I do believe it works, but I need to be careful because, well, what I was going to say is I can pray.
Mhm.
But even in that, it's not me controlling the situation. It's me asking God to intervene,
Right.
and, something I worry about is like, what happens if I don't pray? Does that mean God's not going to intervene? And it's like, um, when I'm getting to that point, I feel like I'm taking my sight off of trusting God
Mhm.
and trying to control something specifically through my prayers. And like, I
Right.
can't do that. It's okay. And we need to take things to God. We need to
Right.
pray.
And it's
But
like, not to interrupt you, but
no,
it's
you're
like,
good.
I didn't pray to, hey, just take it away. Give me the strength to get through it.
Yes.
That's what, because, it's in his hands and I'm not going to, they demand it. Hey, give me the strength to get through. Put the people in front of me that need to be in front of me to help me get through this. And he did.
Yes. And anytime I get afraid about certain things and I take it to him and I pray, um, sometimes I'm just given a peace. Sometimes something, sometimes I experience something, just as simple as like if I'm praying for somebody, I might get a text message or phone call from that person 5 minutes
Yeah.
after, and that's kind of like, I don't know what the outcome is, but I know God's in it.
Yeah.
Because that just would not happen if
Right.
he wasn't there.
Right.
And there's peace in knowing he's there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you got to have that trust.
And people that don't have God in their life, it's like, going through something I was. It's like, how do you face that moving train head on without him?
I don't know. And I don't want to know.
Like, how do people do it? And it's one thing's for certain is everything is uncertain.
Yes. Everything is uncertain. Yeah. The only thing that doesn't change is that everything changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in a what, Tracy Lawrence song?
Yeah.
Time marches on.
Time marches on. Yeah.
Yeah. Is
It
that who
is.
sings that?
Yeah.
That's a good song.
Yep. Well, is it Tracy Lawrence or I think it is. It's either him or, I think it's him.
Is it
We'll
him?
leave
I
it
can't
him. We'll leave it him.
I got a 90s country on Spotify. I ought to know it because I
Yeah.
listen to it all the time. I ought to know that.
But, man, I feel like this has been a really good, uh, been a very productive conversation, and, I think there's multiple messages in it, and I can't wait to get it out there. It'll be out tomorrow on 8th, so August 5th, Wednesday, August 5th. I'll put it out at 12.
Okay.
And, I appreciate you coming out, dude.
Oh, man, I appreciate you
It's
having
good to
me.
get to talk to you.
When you first sent me that message, I was like, oh, absolutely. Just instant, yes, do
Yes.
it. But then I was like, talking in front of
Yeah, but when the mic finally disappears,
yeah.
good. But dude, I'll get you out of here. What are you doing the rest of the day? Chilling out?
Yeah, I'm gonna go pick up Morgan from work and probably got some few things around the house I gotta do, just different odd and stuff.
Yeah.
Be back to work tomorrow.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out, dude. It
All right,
means a
I
lot.
appreciate you having me.
Take care.